Yeah. All of you, good morning. I think all of you had your breakfast. Today, once again, we will discuss about the basics of the computer language, a P2 Python programming. So, as I told in yesterday, P2 is the version Python 2.0. That is basically for the beginners. Now, programs for humans. See, today's class, I want to cover again what are the building blocks of the program and error. I mean, what are the errors, common errors we are facing while writing the program? How to install the Python. So, I will cover these points. So, first, just uh, but the thing is, music won't play. You can read out this, right? You can read out. You can see this one, right? Please, someone, I mean, all of you can read yourself here. Yeah. Did you find any strange things in these lines? Because this is a, like a music, it's a song basically. But it's senorita, something it's called. You can read out the lines and you found, is there any uh, problem with these lines? Please, someone, please respond. Roll number 1. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, ma. Can you? I mean, you go through all the lines, and did you identify anything strange in these lines? This is a basic like a music song. I mean, it's a song. That's what it's.
Sir, we are still seeing the first page of the presentation. Sir.
So
Yes, sir.
that's what I'm asking, ma. Okay, you cannot see the first page only. You are seeing, right? Yeah, yeah. I understand. Now, can you see this first page? Now, can you see this one, ma?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, yes. Okay. Can you read and tell something? Is there any something strange you found in these lines? You have 1 minute
Sir,
of time.
rhyming, sir. Sir, is
Yes.
it rhyming?
Is it?
Rhyming. Yes, sir. I mean, up, hand, like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Ending of
It's
the every
a
line is like a rhyming.
yeah. It's a rhyming only. But the thing is, it's a. Is there any strange thing you found? You just go through all the lines and you just tell me. Come back. You have 1 minute of time.
So the fourth last line, bottom spelling.
Okay.
Instead of hand, it's ham, sir.
Yes. Very good.
So there's a lot of spelling mistakes.
Lot of spelling mistakes are there. So you are telling me, sir, you don't know the spelling or what? Hmm? Yes. You need to say that so many spelling mistakes are there. Okay. Can you read out this? One student, roll number 2. Can you read this one for me? This red color thing I given. No, please. Can you read out fastly? Roll number 3, 4.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mike. Can you read out the red color line here I given? No.
Yes, sir. Carnivorous, then diet gives health benefits.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Now, here are the mistakes. Some of your friends told there is a lot of mistakes. Yeah, there is a lot of mistakes. How much time you taken to identify those mistakes? That is very important. See, you read all the lines. For example, if you look at this portion, left, it should be left, right? But I given LETT. It is taken so much time to identify the mistake for the human beings. Hand, this one also, here bottom. Immediately, one student identified. The first one is this one is the first one error identified by the student. See, here three errors are there. He is not identified these three errors, but he identified this error, right? Because whenever we are reading that, something we will skip, but the computer, it won't skip that. It will give whatever the error, spelling mistake, or it may be a syntax error, or whatever it may be. Immediately it will identify. Immediately it will throw that. Even you are a professor, you are in some other place. No, I am a computer, I need to identify the errors. That's all, right? So here, these are the errors, right? Now, carnivorous diet gives health benefits. Some in the hurry, carnivorous, we may read as coronavirus. This one I found one meme actually. I want to share, but I didn't get that. That's what I written here. Some in the fast hurry, or we can say that okay, sir, maybe mistakenly he written instead of a coronavirus, he may be written carnivorous, because we think in that way, but computer won't. It will read whatever you are given. So that's why whenever we are writing a program, whenever we are writing the control flow, we have to be carefully, we have to write, because computer will identify. Because in exams, no, in for example, abcd options, if they given, I also did this mistake, because no, not mistake, intentionally, I will write b and d both at the same time. Then if the b is the answer, sir, this is b only. If d is the answer, sir, this is d only, like that I can say. I cannot say, I mean, I will say and I will get the mark. But computer, whatever the answer you given, based on that only it will evaluate, right? Okay, did you identify what is the symbol of this? Anyone? uh,
House symbol or
House
snake.
symbol, snake symbol. Okay, fine. Where you found this? I mean, where you can see this name and all? You have any idea, ma'am?
Harry Potter.
Ah, very good. Harry Potter. In that, Slytherin is there. No, Slytherin house. There we can find the Python, right? So generally, uh, they, whoever they're talking with the Python, even in Harry Potter movie, first in the first scene, everyone knows that he will speak with the Python, right? So that we are call it as parcel tongue, and those who are speaking, parcel mouth, and the people we are call it as soldier Slytherin. Anyway, we are aware of that, because you are watching I mean, you watch that Harry Potter movie, so he will speak with the Python. But my question is whether this Python program is came from the name of the Python, or anything else, or any other thing he came, the name is came. Just we will look. He is the, first of all, we have to discuss who is the creator of the Python. He is the creator, Guido van Rossum. His name, just anyway, once again, I will give in the history of the Python. I will tell you about him. And actually, in every course, you may see that some introduction video about the course, right? So for P2 Python, it is new for you. So that's why I am inviting the whoever the creator to introduce the Python itself. So please bear with me. I'll play some video. Yeah, everyone can see this one video, Namma. Along with audio, it will come. Please have a look on this. He is the creator of Python.
I'm Dutch. I grew up in the Netherlands. In fact, I created Python while I was working in the Netherlands. I got a nice job as a programmer at a place called CWI, which is sort of a research lab funded by the government, doing advanced math and computer
Can you hear the voice, Namma? His voice?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
science research. My first job was on a team that worked on a programming language named ABC, and it was a super interesting project, and everything I know about language design, or all my opinions about language design, originate in that project. ABC was eventually unsuccessful, and I moved on to programming on other projects at the same place. The key one was Amoeba, which was a distributed system that was being built collaboratively by CWI and one of the universities in Amsterdam. At some point, I realized every application we have to write in for Amoeba is basically a shell, either a shell script or a C program. And I found that there were downsides to either of those. And I thought, well, I wish there was a third language that was sort of in the middle of those, that felt more like a genuine programming language, like on the C side, but that was perhaps interpreted, easier to use, sort of more concise of expression, like shell scripts, but without the sort of terrible properties in terms of readability of shell scripts. I thought, I can build my own. Building an interpreter is going to take me 2 or 3 months, and I'll win that time back by increased productivity, not just for myself, but for the whole team. Well, those 3 months sort of ballooned to more and more time. I don't think on the Amoeba project, we ever gained that productivity back. Amoeba sort of mostly produced scientific papers. Python slowly became successful. After about a year, we released it as open source. Actually, we didn't call it open source because those terms had not been invented. And almost immediately, a small community of Python lovers started growing, where people sort of spread the word about Python and sort of started contributing back and critiquing each other's contributions, and sort of let me have the last word about whether I wanted a particular contribution in the language. Last July, I actually resigned my position of VDFL, which is ironic because of the FL standing for life. One imminent change is that Python's own governance structure is changing. The community is currently in the middle of sort of figuring out what the best way is to sort of have governance going forward, which is either going to be another BDFL, although that is the less likely solution. More likely, I see a small committee of people who are committed to Python's success long term. Those people will also be guiding Python's sort of future vision.
Yeah, he's the creator of the Python. He's so simple, you can see that, right? As how the program is simple, similar way he is also very simple person. Anyway, one more video I want to share with you. That is an interview, but it is like 1 hour video. Please try to listen from your side. I mean, other than the class timing, please watch this video later on, but I will share this link with you, because always we have to listen the interviews. In these interviews, what are the challenges they faced, how they came up with the new versions. So these things they will discuss. Just I will play the video for 5 minutes. You just
Thank you so much, Guido, for joining us here today. I'd like to start off right at the beginning by asking about your early journey in technology and coding. You were obviously more known for coding today, but your main hobbies in your childhood were electronics. Could you tell us how you transitioned from these passions in electronics to coding later in your career?
Oh, that's a nice one. So, yeah, I think I was about 10 years old when I got an electronics kit from my parents, and I thought it was amazing. And the other kids in school had no idea what I was going on about. That was a very sad show and tell once. In high school, I was like one of the very nerdy, very geeky kids, and I remember like 3 of us sitting in the back of the physics class, and we were like several chapters ahead of the rest of the class because physics was fun and it was easy. But we were, so in the back of the class, we were discussing our electronics designs. And it was mostly digital electronics by then, because it turned out I was terrible at designing or building analog circuits, and like soldering is to this day something that horrifies me. So by the time I was 18, I had actually published an article in a Dutch hobby electronics magazine about some circuit that I had designed. It was like bizarre that it got published, but my first publication. But then I went to university, and it was basically a toss-up between math and physics, and I had to disappoint either my math teacher or my physics teacher. So I chose math. But what happened then was, so at that point, I was still very excited about digital electronics, and I was I was working on a design for a calculator. I mean, you could buy calculators, but they were very primitive, and I knew enough about digital electronics that I actually understood most of what goes on inside a digital calculator. Sort of, once you press the button, how that number is represented by flip-flops and NAND gates inside. Anyway. But what happened was, once I was in university, the University of Amsterdam, in the basement they had a mainframe. And it wasn't even a real mainframe, it was actually a bunch of network devices that were connected to a mainframe that was elsewhere in the city. I had before that, then I had never heard of computers. But math students, for some reason, this was some kind of progressive policy of the math department. Math students got a small amount of computer time that they could use to learn programming on the computer. And well, I just went to the basement and stayed there, basically. So it was very quickly I realized, okay, here I am trying to sort of save enough of my allowance so I can buy enough NAND gates to build a digital calculator. But here is like the biggest digital calculator in the city, and I can use it, and it has perfect ones and zeros, and they're much faster than what I could build myself. And I decided that it was much more fun to focus on building software than trying to learn how to build one of those really big computer mainframes. And so I learned everything there was, starting with Algol 60 and Fortran, and then Pascal and Algol 68 and various other languages that no one has heard of anymore. And I thought it was all super exciting. And in fact, I got this close to dropping out completely because I enjoyed my part-time job as a programmer that much.
So you started your early career working for the CWI in Amsterdam, and you had this very successful career in software development, and you started creating Python in 1989 just as a hobby. So could you tell us about these early days of Python and what it was like working on it just on your own?
Well, it sort of, I guess I was still a pretty nerdy kid, and I had very long, lonely Christmas holiday where the office was just closed for 2 weeks, but I did have a small computer at home, a small PC, I think it might have been a Macintosh, and it had a C compiler. So I didn't need anything else. I didn't need the network or anything. And so my day job at CWI at that point was working for a distributed operating system called Amoeba, which is actually a really interesting project. It led to lots of PhDs and papers. It did not lead to a huge amount of software in actual use, although I think some of it was deployed in space. But my previous project at CWI for 3 or 4 years,
Okay, dear students, I hope you understand that what is the beginning of the Python programming, because he have the choice like whether I need to give up the maths or I need to give up the physics. He is interested in physics, so he give up the maths. But finally, the thing is, he invented the programming language to simplify the mathematics. So that is the thing, that is the life actually. So we have to learn this Python program to simplify the mathematics, and as well as for your work, you need to make your work smarter. Okay, I hope you will enjoy this one by watching 1 hour video. Right, I cannot play this entire video in my class, so that I request all of you watch this video. Better always, interviews will make you to learn so many things instead of, actually my thing is, if you watch the entire video, you can find some key points in that. Okay, so shall we move to the PPT, or you will continue through this video only? Yeah, I'm not received anything, so I will continue to PPT. Priyadarshan, are you following the class? Yes, okay, yes. Fine. Yes, Akhtar Ahmad. Right, okay. Now we will go back to the PPT, and I will share this link with you. All of you must watch the interview, then it is very helpful for you, right? Now once again we will come back to here. 1 second. Yeah. So what is his name? Someone please tell his name, then he will be happy. You watched that video, right? His name consists 3 words basically. What is his name? Roll number 6. Okay, roll number 8. Okay, someone please respond. What is his name?
Guido van
Van Rossum. Guido van Rossum, right? Okay, thank you. Now, a Python, what is basically a Python? It is a language of the Python interpreter and who can converse with it. So that means here, those who are speaking Python, we are call it as Pythonista, right? So that is initially developed by Guido van Rossum. So the word is not taken from the like a snake called Python. This is not taken from that. This is taken from the one circus. That means a BBC TV show called Monty Python's Flying Circus. So from there, he given the name is for his programming language as Python. Yeah, some of the programmers you may already know these people. Yeah, have a look on these people also. Can you hear audio?
Oh, sir.
Can you hear the audio?
No.
Okay, fine. Now you cannot listen this audio, right?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. I'll play.
Understood. 1, 6, 5, 4, and 3. There is still a close to you. So you have to remove one more from that. Wait. See, don't tell me like that. Don't tell me the elements which you are removing. You tell me which all elements will be existing. Shivram told the sum 2 and 7. Shivram, you tell me which are the elements you have.
Yeah. Because before starting the programming, once we started the programming, we won't go for much details about theory and all. That's why. So this is kind of a motivation for you. You just go through this video.
I was 13 when I first got access to a computer.
My parents bought me a Macintosh in 1984 when I was 8 years old. I was in 6th grade.
I learned to code in college.
Freshman year, first semester, intro to computer science.
I wrote a program to play tic-tac-toe.
I think it was pretty humble beginnings. I think the first program I wrote asked things like, what's your favorite color? Or how old are you?
I first learned how to make a green circle and a red square appear on the screen.
The first time I actually had something come up and say, hello world, and I made a computer do that. It was just astonishing.
Learning how to program didn't start off as wanting to learn all of computer science or trying to master this discipline or anything like that. It just started off because I wanted to do this one simple thing. I wanted to make something that was fun for myself and my sisters. And I wrote this little program and then basically just add a little bit to it. And then when I needed to learn something new, I looked it up either in a book or on the internet and then added a little bit to it.
It's really not unlike kind of playing an instrument or something or playing a sport. It starts out being very intimidating, but you kind of get the hang of it over time.
Coding is something that can be learned, and I know it can be intimidating. A lot of things are intimidating, but what isn't?
A lot of the coding that people do is actually fairly simple. It's more about the process of breaking down problems than sort of coming up with complicated algorithms as people traditionally think about it.
You don't have to be a genius to know how to code. You need to be determined.
Addition, subtraction, that's about it.
You should probably know your multiplication tables.
You don't have to be a genius to code. Do you have to be a genius to read?
Even if you want to become a race car driver or play baseball or build a house, all of these things have been turned upside down by software.
What it is computers are everywhere. You want to work in agriculture? Do you want to work in entertainment? Do you want to work in manufacturing? It's just all over.
Here we are, 2013. We all depend on technology to communicate, to bank, information, and none of us know how to read and write code.
When I was in school, I was in this after-school group called the Whiz Kids. And when people found out, they laughed at me and, all these things. And I'm like, man, I don't care. I think it's cool. And, I'm learning a lot. And some of my friends have jobs.
Our policy is literally to hire as many talented engineers as we can find. The whole limit in the system is just that there just aren't enough people who are trained and have these skills today.
To get the very best people, we try to make the office as awesome as possible.
We have a fantastic chef,
Free food,
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
free laundry,
snacks, even places to play and video games and scooters. There's all these kind of interesting things around the office and places where people can play or relax or go to think or play music or be creative.
Whether you're trying to make a lot of money or whether you just want to change the world, computer programming is an incredibly empowering skill to learn.
I think if someone had told me that software is really about humanity, that it's really about helping people by using computer technology, it would have changed my outlook a lot earlier.
To be able to actually come up with an idea and then see it in your hands and then be able to press a button and have it be in millions of people's hands. I think we're the first generation in the world that's really ever had that kind of experience.
Just to think that you can start something in your college dorm room and you can have a set of people who haven't built a big company before come together and build something that 1 billion people use as part of their daily lives is just crazy to think about, right? It's humbling and it's amazing.
The programmers of tomorrow are the wizards of the future. You're going to look like you have magic powers compared to everybody else.
I think it's amazing. I think it's the closest thing we have to a superpower.
Great coders are today's rock stars.
So now you might have understood that the multiple
That's it.
things free can be formed from this. Because what is our definition? It should
Okay, once again, come back to the class. See, what makes you to the special? Because so many people are doing the coding, programming, everyone is doing. So what makes you to the special? Akash, can you tell what makes you to the special? Akash, are you there?
so like that multiple reasons can be traced from this particular graph. The idea
You can message here, you can message, no issue with that. You can message what makes you the very special person. Always, if a group of people are there, what makes you the special?
you can call it as a subgraph because it is a subset. So this tree can be called as a subgraph. So you can write the definition.
Please respond, anyone. Anyone, you can respond. Unique thinking.
So maybe it's
Unique
like
thinking.
unique,
So
like
that
you're
means
unique in your thinking.
if you have a creativity, definitely you are a special person. But after watching that video, what I found is to learn the program, to do the things, programming point of view. If you are a below average student, slow learner, whoever it may be, you can do the things faster. For that, today, what you have to do now, draw a big circle and you write the area where you want to work. Because those people, they told, the IT professionals are the people, those who are helping the agriculture or any, basically they are helping the people with the computers, right? So first you have to do, draw a big circle and there you write the area. That means I want to work in agriculture, I want to work in some technological advancement, I want to work in some other place to help the people through this program. I already told at the end of the course, at least you have to, one of you, if you come up with a application, that will be very nice. That's why I'm telling, If you have a determined person, please draw a circle and write where you want to help the people, because this I will make the circle very smaller. Then you can find the exactly where you will work. Okay, I hope once again I will present the PPT. Yeah, these are the history of the Python. Already he explained that Guido van Rossum, the creator of the Python, he already explained. It is begun on December 1989 during the Christmas vacation, and basically previously he was working with CWI, that is Centrum Visconde and Informatica. If you look at that, it is like mathematical research center basically, where he is working for Amoeba operating system through the ABC language. Then he moved on to 1991. He published the code labeled version 0.9.0. Basically, in computer language, we should not say 0. Okay, we need to say 0.9.0. And in 1994, same thing, Python new features are coming. And in 2000, they moved from the CNRI, that means Corporation for National Research Initiative, from that to open source startup. He told like before, when he is working like 1989 or 2000, the open source, the term is not there. Later they found open source. Okay, so they are working with the beopen.com, and later on 2.0 released, 3.0 presently 3.0 is working. I mean both versions are available through online. And basically, what are the computer hardware architecture? If you look at that, this already you may already know this: input, output, central processing, main memory, secondary memory. So what is meant by main memory? It is a hard disk or it is a RAM? Jahnavi, can you tell me, main memory is a RAM or hard disk?
Sir, I'm not sure.
Okay, fine. See, we have the input devices, keyboard, mouse, and whatever the input, through the input from the external world we are giving. Output is means we are getting the output, that means display. Central processing, anyway, I will show it later, and main memory. That's why we given the common block over here. If you look at that, if you look at this, we given the common point. That means software is nothing but the mutual understanding between CPU and main memory, right? So in this case, main memory is nothing but it should work with the CPU. That means, for example, in your computer, how much speed it is giving the operations, how much fast it is working. How can we say it is depends on the RAM size or it depends on your hard disk size? Anyone?
RAM, I think.
Yes, very good. So based on the RAM size, the speed of the processor, it will increase. So the main memory is called RAM. We should collaborate with the central processing unit, CPU. And whatever the things you are done, then it will save into secondary memory called USB, pen drive, hard disk, or whatever it may be, the storing devices. But whoever running along with the CPU, that we are called as main memory, called RAM. Right, here is the some hardware structure I shown. Here is the some slots are there for RAM, and this one is the like hard disk here. This one, mainly 2 points are enough for us. Only this is the RAM, and here it is the CPU, main central processing unit, and parts are anyway they given. So if you continuously, if you are working with your computer, definitely motherboard. These are called complete the setup. We are called motherboard, right? So you need to be like cooling system should be good. So many factors are there. Anyway, that is not at all not required for us. So we have to know that the coordination between CPU and RAM, it should be there. Then only the things will get faster. And one more important and basic concept is interpreter and compiler. So interpreter is nothing but, for example, if you are attending a meeting, the speaker don't know your native language, then what the other some translator will be there. What he will do? He will translate whatever the thing he is telling. That means, for example, he will say one paragraph. Whether the translator will tell? No. He will tell each line by line. Okay, he will tell in the other language. The translator, for each step, he will tell he will translate into your local language. That we are called as interpreter. But whereas coming to the compiler is a different one, because first it will read everything, whatever the program you written, then it will give the output. First it will go through all the lines, whatever the things you given, like we are generating the subtitles for a video. For example, you have an English video, you want to generate your native language subtitles. First, anyway, you need to, you will go, if you go through all the codes of lines, if you giving after reading all the lines, if you are giving the reply or if you are translating that we are called it as compiler. But line by line, if you are reading, means that we are called it as interpreter. So for C program and C++, we will use the compiler, but whereas coming to the Python, Ruby, and we will use the interpreters, because line by line it will check. Okay, now what are the building blocks of the program? Program is nothing but, anyway we know that it is a sequence of statements. There will be input and sequential execution, conditional execution, repeated execution, reuse, and output. Finally we will get that. That means you have to write the program in a sequential manner. You have to use the proper conditions. If you want to print the odd numbers, even numbers, and all, you need to give some conditional execution. You need to write that program. And repeated execution, that means you have to write the loop, for loop, while loop. So it is a repeated execution. Reuse, once you define one function, then you can use wherever we want globally in that programming. And finally we will get the output. This is the main building blocks of the program. Okay, fine. But where we will get the errors? These are very, very important. We have the 3 different errors. One is syntax error, logic error, and semantic error. Syntax error means we know that at the end of each line there will be a semicolon, bracket, keyword misspelling. These things are making us to that is creating the error, right? So the Python is a language which is having more flexible. Even if you miss something, it will give that error where the error is locating and all. But whereas comparatively C, C++, Java and all, semicolon is must and should required for after some statements. But in case of Python, it is not required, as already I told in yesterday. And logic related logic errors means, so where you have to use the less than or equal to, greater than, and, or. So those things we have to look in. And semantic errors. Semantic errors means you should not confuse the computer. Because if you look at that, colorless green ideas sleep furiously. Maybe the sentence is, here you can find this one, right? The sentence may be correct, but you should not confuse the computer, because that wants to help you. So you need to give exactly what output you want from the computer, right? This is the semantic error. And finally, one by one I will call. If you respond, that will be good. Roll number 45. What is meant by bug? In computer terms. So you are not there in the class. 45. Okay.
Present, sir. Present.
Oh, present. Okay, ma. What is meant by bug?
Mic was not okay. Sir, I'm not able to hear. Once in a while, the connection in his voice is breaking.
Okay, ma. Now.
So
What
bug
is in
like when errors happen in a program.
Yes, 44. Okay.
45.
36. 36. Unmute your audio. "36" is not there. Okay, fine. 34.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, ma. What is mean by compiler?
Compiler.
Yes, ma. Compiler. I told interpreter and compiler is there. Interpreter is nothing but translator. But I mean, it will transmit. I mean, it will like transmit the high level language to low level language. Again, low level language to high level language. But how the execution will be done in the compiler, whether it will read whole code, then it will give error, or
Yes,
step by step it will give error. I mean, step by step it will read, or entire code it will read. Compiler will read step by step, or entire code it will read. Roll number 34. Okay, compiler will read the entire code once, then it will give the response
Step by
for
step,
your.
sir.
Yes, ma. Okay, fine. Now, roll number 27. 34. Okay, 27.
Step by step, sir.
Not step. Compiler is not step by step, ma'am. Compiler is, it will read the entire program once, then it will give the error, or it will give the output. Okay, fine. Roll number 27. Yes. What is my high level language?
High level language is what we use.
Okay, high level language is a language which is used in the computers to write the programs. I am asking like whether it is easy for the computers or it is easy for the humans.
Easy for humans.
Yes, very good. Interactive mode. What is mean by interactive mode? Roll number 23.
The way we interact with a computer.
Yeah, that means now how we are interacting. If I am asking questions, if you are not responding, means it is not an interactive session. Interactive session means once I asked a question, you need to respond from your side instead of calling the number and all. Okay, you are not responding, that's why I'm calling the numbers. Okay, anyway, 23 correct. And roll number 17. Roll number 17.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Can you tell about interpret, whether it will check the program by step, or entire program it will check once?
Sure, entire program.
That is the wrong answer. Interpret will check step by step. Each step it will check and it will give the immediately error. That means, for example, if you written 100 lines of code, if you written the 5th line error, the speed of the execution will be fast. So immediately it will give that I cannot proceed after the 5th line because you written some wrong. But in case of compiler, it will read all the 100 lines. That means it will take so much time to respond. It will read all the 100 lines and it will tell that in 5th line you have a problem. Like that compiler will tell that you have a problem with 5th line. So interpreter will give the errors. I mean, it will read the statements line by line and it will give the errors. I hope you understand. 17.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Next, roll number 7. Low level language. Yes, low level language. whether it is easy to understand the computer or it is for humans it is easy.
Humans, sir.
Low level, say wrong. Okay, no problem. Low level language is easy to understand by the computer, not the humans. That's what 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1 is there, means that will understand by the computer, but not the humans. Right? So you need to remember low level languages are very comfortable with the computers. Humans are comfortable with high level languages like C, C++, Java, Oracle and Python. Okay, fine. Machine code, it is same. Whatever the code we are writing in the low level language, we are called it as machine code. And main memory, I told already, main memory is nothing but RAM. Parse means, is there any syntax error whether you written in a correct way or not? Okay, portability. So how can you able to work with the code? Print function, output, how we can solve that. Problem solving ability about the Python. What is a program? It is a set of instructions. Prompt is nothing but, for example, if you written like enter a number, then if you compile that, it will ask that, it will pop up with enter a number like that. So that we are called as prompt. Secondary memory, hard disk and all. And semantic is nothing but how you are writing the program. So in that, is there any error or not, it will check, that's all. Source code is nothing but the programming code. Okay, now how to install the Python? Thank you. Now I want to know how many are using computer, how many are using mobiles. Right? First, I want to, in the next class, I will begin the Python programming. Okay. Before that, just I am giving the instructions how to install in your computer. What is your next class?
TNG.
Okay. So I will leave within 11:10 already. 11:20, next class. Okay, anyway. So if you go to all of you, I will share the mobile link. Google Play Store link I will share. Two apps are there. Anyone you can choose. I installed like 2 apps I installed. Anyone you can choose, no issue with that. I will give the link to you. All of you go to this link and install the Python program. This app. Now only do it. I will do from my side. I will check. All of you, please click on the link.
Sir, can I have short record in PC, sir? Hello?
Yeah, I'm hearing you. See, you can install in PC. That is very that is required actually. Some people, they don't have the laptops, no? That's why I'm giving the mobile app. Now, those who are using the laptop or systems or desktop, whatever, you go to Python. Actually, we need to download the Anaconda. That Anaconda also, it is not like a snake. Okay, it is also a programming language. Okay, so don't get fear about that Anaconda, Python, and snake names only sir is telling. Don't think like that. Okay, so please go to the Google Chrome and you can see this screen, right? Yeah, please someone respond. Can you able to see?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah, please. Okay, thank you. And you click on that download python.org. Here, python.org. Here, directly they given download Python 3.8.5 for Windows. So directly, if you click on this, you will get an exe file. You know that how to run that exe file. Okay, so this one, those who are using the computers, you use this one. Later, I will tell how to install the Anaconda in your computers so that it is easy to write the programs through the interactive way. Because I will do that because I need to show the programs to you know. I will show this one. Whatever the Python IDLE, that is interactive distributed learning environment. Okay, through that I will show. Can you able to download this? Those who are using the desktop, please download that. Those who are using the mobiles, download this app.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. So those who are using the mobile, you use this Python. And one more thing.
Vanishri, then Kumar Shivam.
So one more software also I am disclosing with you. Okay. Now anyway, I will share this link also. Those who are using your mobile, you can use any one of the app. Those who are using system, for basic thing, you download this. Later on, I will tell one more like Anaconda, how to download that Anaconda, how to run that. I will explain that step by step. Okay. As of now, for the next class, I will begin the Python programming so that all of you please install this Python in your PC or application in your PC, I mean in your mobile. I hope you got. Now I will take the attendance. Yes. If your name is here, I mean 1 second, you can see this Excel sheet number. This is regarding attendance. You can see this Excel sheet now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, ma'am. So if your name is there, you can leave the class. Priyadarshan, Asta Sundaram, Abhishek. Okay, ma'am, no need to give reply. If your name is here, you can leave the class because already 11:16, no, you need to attend that. Adarshini, Aditi Kumari, Akanksha, Akash, Akshaya Srinivasa, Anshika Kumari, Deeksha yes, Deepa yes, Fiza, Prami, Gagan, Kaushita, Girinatham, Nitin. Nitin, how can I tell you, pronounce your name? Nitin or Nagsai Nitin? Okay, Nagsai Nitin. Govardhan, Gautam, Jahnavi, Jaiveer Singh, Sudeep, Kavya, Kirti, Kshitij. See, this is very difficult to pronounce by the humans, right? But the computer, it will pronounce it fastly. So, Linit, Shadi, Kurian, Rohit, Suraj, Birlinga, Chandana TN, Arati, Ashish, Ashwin, Ahmad, Nikhil Sai, Kaushik, Anurag Srivastava, Anya Amudan. So is anyone left? I didn't call anyone. Please inform. Otherwise, you can leave the class and attend the next class. Thank you for joining the class. And before coming to the next class, you install the Python in your computer and as well in your mobile. We will begin the programming. Thank you. Now you can leave the class.
Thank you.
Kusuma MV. When you like, what is meant by compiler, ma?
Hello, sir.
Yes, ma. Those who names are not there.
Yes.